Today we're going to look at solving two-step equations. So this is Unit 5, Lesson 5 in your packet, and it's page 21. So first we have 4x minus 3 equals 15. And in the equation, the x is being multiplied by 4, and then the 3 is subtracted. That's what's happening in the equation. So in order to solve the equation, we know we have to do the opposite or the inverse operations. So we're going to go in the opposite order here. We are first going to add 3 to both sides because that's the opposite of subtracting 3. And then we would divide both sides by 4. So we're going kind of in the opposite order of what's happening in the equation because we're trying to undo the equation. So in the second one, we have x is being divided by 3, and then 2 is added at the end. So we're going to start with that plus 2 and do the opposite, which is subtract 2. And then instead of dividing by 3, we're going to multiply by 3. So in each of these equations, we started with that plain number that was being added or subtracted before we moved on to any multiplication and division, and that's really important. All right, so next, looking at the equation below, we have 5 equals 2t minus 3. And of the operations there, we are first going to start with the regular number, of ignoring the t for a second. There's a minus 3, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to use addition and add 3 to both sides of the equal sign. So 5 plus 3 gives us 8. Bring down the equals, bring down the 2t. So now I have 8 equals 2t. So now we're going to get rid of the multiplying that's happening between the 2 and the t, and we will divide. We're going to use division and divide both sides by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I get 4 equals t, or t equals 4. So we used addition first, and then division. All right, moving on. So example A, they give us 4x plus 9 equals a negative 7. And then we are going to start with the plain number, ignoring the x, start with the plain number. The opposite of a plus 9 is minus 9, so we are subtracting 9 from each side. So then we just have a 4x on the left. Negative 7 minus 9, we get negative 16. And now we have 4x equals negative 16. We want to get rid of that multiplication, so we're dividing each side by 4. And when we do that, we just get an x, and negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. In this box, it says the order of the inverse operations is the order of the operations in reverse. So we're kind of going in the opposite direction. This is actually from above, so we don't need to do this. It was the same equation we solved right there in that other box. So remember, you're going in the opposite direction of opposite order of what's happening in the equation. Start with your addition and subtraction, then move on to multiplication, division. All right, so go ahead, flip the page. In C, we've got 2 minus 3x equals 17. So I have a positive 2 right here. We're going to get rid of the plain number first, so I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. Bring down the negative 3x, bring down the equals, and 17 minus 2 is 15. So far I have subtracted 2 from both sides. Now I have negative 3x equals 15, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3, and I get x equals -5. All right, next one, letter D, we have 15x plus 4 equals 96. Again, start with the plain number plus 4. I'm going to do the opposite and subtract 4 on both sides. Positive 4 and -4 it makes 0, so that's gone. I just have 15x on the left. And then on the right, 96 minus 4 is 92. So I have 15x equals 92. 15 and x are multiplying, so I need to do the opposite and divide both sides by 15. Use your calculator. 92 divided by 15, you get x equals 6.13 repeating. All right, moving on to the practice below. Number 5, we have 5y plus 8 equals -2. Start with your plain number, plus 8. Opposite of plus 8 is -8. So I'm subtracting 8 on both sides. When I do that, positive 8 and -8 makes 0, so that's gone. So I just have a 5y on the left. On the right equals -2 minus 8 gets us to -10. So I have 5y equals -10. I need to then divide both sides by 5, and I get y equals -2. And remember, with these, you can always check your work. So if I just rewrite the equation here, 5y plus 8 equals -2, and then rewrite this, but instead of a y, replace it with -2, our answer we got for y, we can check that it's right. So 5 times -2 gets us -10. Bring down the rest, plus 8 equals -2. -10 plus 8 is -2, so we get -2 equals -2, and we know our answer is correct before we move on. So I always suggest that you check your work. You're not required to, but it's great practice. All right, number 6. We've got y minus 5, -y minus 5 equals 12. I'm going to start with the plain number here, -5. Opposite of -5 is +5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Bring down the -y. -5 plus 5 is 0, so that's gone. And then 12 plus 5 is 17. Now you might think we're done, but we still got one more step. This is a -y. I just want y. You know how typically when we solve an equation we get x equals, not -x. So we have to get rid of the negative that's out front. Remember, if there's no number written there, it's like a -1 times y. So I'm going to then divide both sides by -1. And that will get rid of the negative, and I just have a y. And 17 divided by -1 just changes our sign to -17. All right, number 7. 6x plus 36 equals 144. Start with the plain number here, plus 36. The opposite of adding 36 is subtracting 36, so I'm going to do that to both sides of the equal sign. Bring down the 6x. And then we have plus 6 minus 36 makes 0, so that's gone. Bring down your equals. 144 minus 36 is 108. So right now I have 6x equals 108. This is 6 times x, so we have to do the opposite and divide both sides by 6. So 108 divided by 6 gets us 18 for our answer. All right, number 8. I have 18 minus x equals 5. Start with your regular number here. It's just a positive 18, so in order to cancel that and make 0, I have to subtract 18, because positive 18 minus 18 is 0. So I gotta subtract 18 on both sides. Bring down the negative x. Make sure you look in front for that sign. And then 5 minus 18 gets us negative 13. So I have negative x equals negative 13. This is similar to the negative y we had before. So it's like there's a negative 1 in front. So I need to divide both sides by negative 1. And I get x is equal to positive 13. All right, moving on to number 9. We've got 7 equals negative 3c minus 2. So again, start with your plain number that's on the same side as the variable. There's a minus 2 there, so I'm going to do the opposite and add 2 to both sides. And I'm doing that because the negative 2 is on the same side as the c that I'm trying to solve for, so I have to move that over. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Bring down your equals, bring down the negative 3c. So I have 9 equals negative 3c. So get rid of the negative 3 in front of the c. I divide both sides by negative 3. And I get c equals 9 divided by negative 3, which is negative 3. All right, number 10. I have negative 3x minus 4 equals 5. Start with your plain number. Opposite of minus 4 is add 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4 makes 0, so that's gone. Bring down the rest. Negative 3x equals 5 plus 4, which is 9. So we have negative 3x equals 9. Divide both sides by negative 3. And I get x equals negative 3. All right, please go ahead and solve 11, 12, and 13 on your own. So go ahead, pause this, try those 3 on your own, and then there'll be some multiple choice questions for you. All right, that's it for the lesson today. I'm going to go ahead and put the answers up for you. So for 11, you should get x equals 3. For 12, you should get x equals negative 6. And for 13, you should get n equals negative 8. So that's it for today. For the rest of the period, you should be working on the homework here on page 23. I will be collecting it tomorrow, so make sure it's done. Remember, it's a great practice to check your work. So after you solve something, plug it back in, make sure your answer is right before you move on to the next question. Now you don't have to, but again, you'll know your answer is right before you move on. So 1 through 5 is just solving. 6, you have a word problem. They give you the equation to solve. And in 7, find the mistake that the person made and write a sentence about the mistake and go ahead and find the correct answer. So that's what you should be working on for the rest of the class.